Lady yields back. I now recognize the chair of the full committee, Ms. Cathy McMorris Rodgers, for her 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and appreciate you all being here. I wanted to start with one program, one of many, but the EPA's Clean Bus Program. I recently visited some propane suppliers in Spokane who were quite concerned about the way that this program is being implemented. It's a program, at least as it was described to me, 50% was to go for electrification of school buses, 50% for propane, or alternative. And the way it's being implemented, 100% is being reimbursed if it's a electric school bus, costing $370,000 each, versus the alternatives that EPA has decided to reimburse a third of that cost if it's an alternative. So for propane, a bus would cost $107,000. EPA will reimburse a third of that. If it's an electric, costing $370,000, we'll pay the whole thing. I just wanted to ask about this program in particular, if you would elaborate on just the implementation, if they plan to modify the program, given the supply limitations, and according to the 2022 rebate, winners have already been announced. What challenges does EPA and EPA OIG face in monitoring these funds after winners have been announced?
Thank you for the question, and we share your concern with respect to the Queen School Bus. We announced a project recently, an audit of how the agency is handling supply chain issues and decision-making issues with respect to the Queen School Buses. Early indications are that the capacity of the United States to produce enough Queen School Buses, electric school buses, along the lines of what the agency envisions is not possible. That these funds would not be executed in time to actually meet the goals of the program. We have concerns that go beyond this too. It is one thing to give a school district an electric bus. It is another thing then for them to recharge that electric bus. And at this point, we're concerned that there isn't the infrastructure for them to recharge these electric buses.
So what would happen to, what will happen to the money if they can't spend it?
This touches on a continuing recommendation that we make with the agency, which is monitoring funds that are obligated but not spent, and having the agency appropriately deobligate those funds.
Okay.
I cannot remember, and I will get back to you.
I'll follow up later. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Ms. Donaldson, Department of Energy, we had sent, Chairs Griffith, Duncan, and I had sent a letter to DOE asking for some accounting of some funds and major spending laws, some of which we've discussed today, and I was disappointed with the response. Probably shouldn't be surprised, but it was incomplete. We got it last night, but it's a pattern over the last 2 years. The department has not been cooperating with us. For me, it's unacceptable. And one of the things they pointed to was usaspending.gov, that's where I should go to get the spending, I guess, of Department of Energy. You mentioned data analytics that they're developing. Would you speak to the timeline of these data analytics and
They have not described a timeline. I think they are, and I don't mean to speak for them, they would be the better witness to answer this question. I don't know that they have sufficient funding or staff dedicated to this mission yet. I think they recognize the power of the tool, but they are in early days in terms of designing an effective data analytics program.
Okay, thank you. Well, and I was in Congress when the Recovery Act was passed, the ARRA, and I remember they set up this whole website, and they had congressional districts that didn't exist that were getting funded, and we're talking, I don't know how many times the money now, 7, 8 times the money. To Mr. Gaffigan, I wanted to ask about data analytics and just how are we doing as far as internal controls to be able to have any kind of tracking of these dollars?
Yeah, I mentioned as one of the themes of that past work, because I also helped audit the ARRA funds, and there was great hope for the setting up of these data sources and a way to analyze it, but it's fallen short. And just the quality of the data, as you alluded to, has not been well done. And we've had some recommendations to OMB and Treasury to try to work on that, and also matters to Congress to try and improve that situation.
Well, would you speak to what you believe can be done, either at an agency level or federal government-wide, to increase some kind of accountability?
Well, we talked about clarifying OMB and Treasury's responsibilities. We all have also recently testified 10 different matters for Congress to try and improve federal spending information, and it included having the IGs do some of the checking of these reports.
Okay. I have a lot more questions, but my time has expired. I'll yield back.